But
I've heard
we're like central hub type thing.
Yeah. Y'all go somewhere else. Y'all get on around here. Good God-fearing people in North Carolina. We don't love y'all.
Bible Belt.
You the Bible Belt.
Exactly.
You use that belt for something else. Shades of Jesus.
But yeah, so what I was pushing on was just how this whole R. Kelly situation is a bit bigger than the actual specifics of R. Kelly. It's just about women in general, women and self-love and, self-worth, because I feel like a lot of these women are only in this position because they don't feel like they're worth enough. Because a lot of women who can stand up to men who treat them, not the best, they're able to say, okay, like, this is what I deserve. And that's what makes it 10 times harder for women sometimes to even find a man, because they feel like they have to lower themselves in order to, be happy with someone. So I think it's a lot bigger than the specific situation, but it's like, where do we go from here? Right. Now that we know all of these different women,
Right. And if you probably look at I've not seen it, but if you look at the demographics of the women, I'm sure they all fit a certain criteria. Younger, easily manipulated.
Liars. If you did not lie about your age to begin with. Let's start right there. Because if you said you were 16, and if he had any sense, then he would have, But at least,
he defends pedophilia on his radio. If you heard his last song, he came out with like a 17-minute song, because only R. Kelly would come out with like
17 minutes.
17-minute song. And it's called I Admit. And he talked. Y'all ain't heard I Admit?
No, Amazing Grace.
Praise the Lord. He says, I got some problems, I got some issues, but I'm not the man that you say I am. I like girls who are young. I like girls of all ages. Wow. But it's not a crime. I'm not no criminal like y'all trying to say I am. He literally gets on a record for 17 minutes and rants about pedophilia and how y'all are trying to say this is this bad thing. So
it's called statutory rape.
Statutory rape. I say this, but going back to what we're talking about, for me, one of the challenges of this discussion is we're talking about self-esteem, we're talking about identity, and what are the warning signs? How do we get to these type of situations? One of the challenges, and I won't call no names, but I grew up in a house where a certain person had R. Kelly 12 play posters up in their room. And the challenge is we're up in arms about who he's lusting after, but we didn't have no problem with the lustful music in general. So here's the thing.
He told you what he was.
He told you.
If we arrest the spirit of lust, period, we ain't got to worry about our kids falling into sex trafficking and other perversions and other things. But the perversion was lust in the beginning. So we've established.
That ain't going nowhere.
Here's the thing. We've established that sex before marriage is normal. We got churches that give out condoms. There are churches that give away. They just gonna have sex anyway. They just want to be safe. What the blood clot, man? What the blood clot? No, they're not safe at all. No, the thing don't stop the thing. First of all, there are sexually transmitted diseases, STDs, that condoms don't stop. There's these super gonorrhea that's out there that's killing folk. I mean, got your whole body looking like something out of a movie. The other piece is there are other STDs, that's spiritually transmitted demons. Say that. And when you tell somebody that there's such a thing as safe sex, you are completely ignoring the Bible, and you are completely setting them up for the okie doke. People catching feelings. Now you got baby mama drama. Now you got people in situations that they know I shouldn't be here, but the sex got me on some soul tie kind of connection, and I want to leave, but I can't leave. So now we got a whole lot of stuff that would not. My mind's telling me no, but my body. So the point is, if you were in the habit of telling your flesh no to begin with, we wouldn't be having these conversations. Now, again, I want to be clear. This is not about judging the victims. I want to be real clear. This is not about judging the victims. I believe that when people get manipulated and taken advantage of, they need to be helped. They need to be empowered. And a lot of times people say, why they don't just leave? You don't know what it's like to be caught in the web. There's some people in bondage in church right now. There's people who are in bondage at their job right now. No, they need to leave their job. Boss treating them like Kunta and Kente. Come on in here. But they don't want to leave. They don't want to leave and start their own business. They don't want to leave and become an entrepreneur. That fear has them locked in. Just because you're getting a paycheck don't mean you're not a slave. There's a lot of forms of manipulation. I just saw a guy on doing a stand-up comedy said, y'all don't believe in no conspiracy theories. Y'all just believe that everything the government tell you is right. So we standing here believing, going to work, believing what they telling us, believing everything, believing America's always right. And we're always doing positive things in the world and the community at large. America's never
again.
No.
Make it great again.
Make it great again. You know what I'm saying? We got to do America. Back the time when the darkest knew their place. And that's really what they mean when they say make America great again. Anyway, so I say this to say, praise the Lord. I say that to say we have to be prayerful about the spirit of manipulation because it exists in all forms, and we have to be prayerful about we accept this step, but then when it gets here, now we're mad. No, don't stop it here. Stop it when it started here. You accepted this as normal. You accepted this as okay. You accept when she went out the house looking like amen, praise the Lord. Amen, praise the Lord. Then
with
when
the
she
red
comes,
lipstick on,
amen. I mean, there were certain things that we weren't allowed to do.
Skirt up to the
and
thigh.
it's not about. Oh God! It's not about a certain. I put it like this. Who said it? I think it was. I can't remember the comedian who said it. He said, "I'm not saying you a hooker, but you dress like one." He said, "There's if you go to the street and you see somebody in a police uniform, you're gonna assume they're a policeman. Now they may or may not be. You can steal police uniforms, but if I see you in the uniform, I'm gonna assume that's what you are. If I see you in a fireman uniform, I'm assuming you're a fireman. Why? Because you got the uniform on. If I see you dressed like a lady of the night, I'm assuming that's what you are because you got the uniform on. So if you don't want people to make assumptions about you, if you don't want people to treat you in a certain way, you've got to present yourself in such a way that presents the right message. So here's the thing. I dress like I want to dress. Anybody tell me how I want to dress? I want to wear my hair short, wear my hair long, have a beard, don't have a beard. I'm going to dress how I want to dress. But I'm going to take ownership for the message that I'm sending. So if I don't like the message, then I'm going to change. If I don't like the response to the message, then I'm going to change the message. At a certain point, we have to say, listen, if I'm getting a negative result, I got to own some of that. And I got to say, okay, either I'm going to keep going out here and getting shot. I'm going to keep going out here and getting busted in the head. Or I'm going to say, I want a different result. I don't care what sounds right. My mama taught me this as a little kid. My mama said, you can be dead right. It's not right. I shouldn't have to pull my skirt down. I shouldn't have to not wear my hoodie. I should be able to walk through the hood with my hoodie in my hands and my pockets and not get shot. You right. God bless you. You are so right. You're going to be dead right. So either you want to, I want to live. Either you want to live and you're going to change your attitude, or you're going to say, I'm going to do what I want to do and nobody can tell me what to do. And you're going to reap. There are going to be more R. Kelly situations. There are going to be more police brutality situations. There are going to be more church manipulation situations, because all of this we're talking about is the spirit of manipulation. And if we reject things in their infancy stage, they won't have a chance to grow to full maturity.
Yeah, I would definitely say that there is a root to every problem. When I was coming up, my mom and my dad, they were on drugs. No, seriously, they were. And so I was abused as a child. And so, sorry. I was abused.
It's all going over here.
Okay, so I was abused as a child growing up, and I was looking for love in all the wrong places because I didn't have the love that I wanted and that I longed for. I couldn't understand why my parents weren't there. The person who took care of me physically and mentally abused me and my siblings. So it made it really, really hard. And so once I did, as an adolescent coming up, like, I looked for love in all the wrong places because I didn't get the love that I needed. And when I looked for love in all the wrong places, I got into unhealthy relationships because the person who took care of me would say, like, listen, I love you and this is why I'm doing this. So as I'm growing up, mentally, I'm like, that's what love is. And so with that being said, what happens is that the root is, rejection. It's abandonment. Those things are very real. And so when that happens and when that takes place in your life, what you do is you venture out to to fulfill the void that's on the inside of you. Like you're looking for something that you've never had. And so in the world is going to give you things that make you feel good, whether it be drugs, sex, money. It feels good. All of those things feel good for the moment. But what we miss is that you're coming back to reality, from that high, from that sex drive, and you're going to eventually have to deal with a problem. And so what happens is that when you give your life to Christ, that is when you see the manifestation of real love. Real love can only be found in God. And so that's what I think happens with a lot of young people in our generation, just in general, period. Like the things that we miss is what we look for, is what we long for. And so that's generally what happens.
So you could have been a victim of R. Kelly.
Yeah, anybody could be a victim of R. Kelly because
I couldn't be a victim of R. Kelly. I'm putting that out there right now. I'm a real man. R. Kelly ain't got nothing on me.
What's interesting, I think, is just the fact that
I
know that's what I was trying to figure out as y'all saw the table.
The table was rising. The table
I
rise.
really don't know. I couldn't get it to. I don't know. Just left it. But it's like I don't know. It's so cute. But I feel like the real issue is just the fact that I feel like a lot of people don't know how to get out, and that's with some of everything. I feel like even with like when it comes to trauma as a child, it takes a lot of people a long time before they can actually speak on what actually happened to them, and like. I just feel like that's where the start is, because all of these girls that were in this position have been manipulated way before this actual moment.
Right, absolutely.
And they have never been able to come to terms with whatever has happened to them, which has put them in this position for them to feel so vulnerable. And the love that they were receiving seemed so amazing. Right. But to us on the outside looking in, we're like, we have a different idea of what love is. We we were maybe raised a little bit differently, so we saw different things, but to them that was love. The amount of gifts he was giving and the amount of attention he was giving, the way and that intimate connection is real, but it's just really intense to say that like people don't know how to be honest with what's really happening. And it's like, at what point can someone how can you get someone to the point where they can actually see things for what it really is?
And I think step one is that you have to have a confidant, someone that you can talk to.
Yes.
And it may not be mother, father, sister, brother. It may not be a blood relative, but there has to be somebody out there that you establish a connection with early on in life, that you can come to, hell, high water, no matter what's going on. There's this person that you would be able to talk to that can give you sound godly counsel and can give you the advice that you need in order to try to find that way of escape. The way of escape is there, but oftentimes we can't find it because of the blinders that we have on and the shades that are covering up our eyes. But in speaking to somebody else and letting somebody else know this is happening, this exists, hopefully they'll be able to guide and help and get you to a place where you're able to find that way of escape.
One of the things I think that's happening as well is that the media is glamorizing tangible things, glamorizing, the limelight, the Hollywood, big screens, fancy cars, Bugatti, bling and everything else. So that is that's the bait that's being used. In addition to that, because average people don't have the resources to get that. So now you got average people who are parents working 2 and 3, 4 shifts to get baby girl the iPhone, the newest iPhone, and to get this and get that or whatever.
Stop it.
And then
Stop it.
So now here it is, you're trying, parents, your children are pushing you into a lifestyle that requires you to spend more attention on the outside than focus on the inside. Your children are pushing you there because you feel like, and I can say this knowingly because I've seen it in my family, because the fathers aren't doing, I have to make up for what the baby daddy's missing on. So I can't say no to my child wanting this, which means I've got to work harder to get that. He don't pay child support, so I've got to do this in order to get that. But at the same time, while you're trying to get them the tangible things, first of all, they're going to grow out of it. Second of all, by the time you can get it off layaway or wherever it is, it's going to be outdated, out of style or whatever. And they're never going to understand a true struggle. But you're also cultivating and reinventing this wheel of you got to work like a dog unless there's a quick way out of the game.
Right.
And that is when the R. Kellys sneak in, because not only or the drug dealers or the pimps or whoever it is or the abusers, they creep in on the prey. First of all, the child is now saying, it's taking you too long working your double shift, but he gonna hook me up. And now we even have parents that are saying, I don't have to work a double shift if he gonna do that. Just drop me off some too. So literally, I just believe that more than anything, that we have to hold on to the intangible things of this world. Only what we do for Christ will last. So holding on to what creates good moral, what will let you sleep at night. If you know that all that I've done throughout this day has been what my child has observed me do, will teach them not to be vulnerable, that this is done in love, that this is what it looks like. Hey, put your phone down. How was your day? What did you learn in school? Is everything okay? I love it. I love it. My sister is a single mother of 3 kids. And when the kids first started going to school, I remember she would come in. Other mothers would say, how was your day? How are things going? She said, who touched you? Who did something to you? Anybody mess with you today? Anybody touch your private parts? They was like, no, Mom.
Oh my gosh.
Got homework?
But I think,
and that was at the age of 1. No.
I just went to preschool.
I want to say too that you said something that really kind of touched on something deeper than what we're talking about, and I'm not sure that we have an answer for it. I happen to know someone personally who is willingly in an abusive relationship, and it hasn't been physically yet, but verbally, financially, emotionally, mentally promised to marry them, got everybody all up in arms, got people buying wedding gowns and bridesmaids gowns, and then canceled the wedding, broke up with them, got another girlfriend. May said, you're going to be all right with the fact that I have another girlfriend because you're going to live here. I mean, it's just all this kind of crazy stuff. And you said something that I really wanted to make sure that we highlight here. This person has said, but you don't know how they make me feel. And this person comes from an abusive background where they didn't feel love. And the freedom, the deliverance, the breakthrough that I am offering them is not as valuable to them as the life with a little bit of abuse, but with that love. That's the point that you brought up. Like, you don't understand. Like, I see your life, the life that you want me to have. You want me to be free, but your freedom don't have this love. This freedom where I am, that abuse is absent, doesn't mean I have the presence of love. So I'd rather stay with love and abuse than no love and no abuse. So we have to create a space. The only thing we can do, I'm thinking, solution oriented. The only thing we can do is make sure that at church, at home, in relationship spaces, we're creating genuine connection.
Yeah.
Where people feel love, people feel affirmed, people feel
Safe.
That's the only chance we got to where I say, I don't have to stay. The gang is not the only group of people who love me.
Yes.
This abuser is not the only man who ever told me I was beautiful, or the only man who ever told me that I was worth something, or he's not the only person that make me feel something. People, I do what I do because people need to be waking up like the Matrix. Like, you can feel, you can enjoy your life. You can be passionate. You can have fun. Like, life doesn't have to be this treadmill. Right? And one of the things you was talking about, when our kids see us working 2 and 3 jobs to try to afford material things, that sets them up for the failure because they're like, mommy ain't happy. Daddy's not happy. I don't want that life. Right. You're telling me this. I don't want that life. The drug dealer look happy. He out here driving the car he want. He got the girl he wants.
Smiling.
He's wearing the clothes. He smile. He looks at. If I got to choose, he wake up late when he want to wake up. He was at the club popping bottles. He making the hood eye, make sure little boys going to school and stuff. He doing
giving away turkeys.
Giving away turkeys in the hood. So I want to be like that. And somebody looks me in my eye and says, "Hey, I see something valuable in you. I want you to come work for me." That makes me feel important. That makes me feel valuable. Where else am I getting? I'm telling you right now, ain't no man go ever look at my wife and make her feel more special than I do. No man. I don't care who. You listen. I don't care. Any dude, you can try. Go ahead. Y'all go, don't try. I got a leg up on you because we do other things. But I got, you know, ain't no man gonna be able to tell, because it's my job to look at my son and make sure that I pour into him and say, hey man, you're valuable. Whether you make an A, whether you make an F, your father loves you and he's proud of you. You don't have to do anything to try to earn my love and respect. And this is the reason why I got into counseling and got into coaching, because people are broken and they're hurting and they carry that dysfunction into adulthood. Everybody doesn't smoke weed. Everybody doesn't abuse people. Some people become alcoholics. Some people become workaholics. Some people just go into a shell and they're married, but they're still alone. Some people, and they go to church every Sunday, smile and dance, but then they start crying and they don't know why. When the Holy Spirit move on them, now they sad. And they don't know where to say. Or they wake up at 50 and we call it a midlife crisis. The only thing a midlife crisis means is you wake up at 50, you realize you got more sunrises behind you than you have in front of you, and you wake up and say, what did I do with my life? How can a Robin Williams kill himself? How can a Kate Spade worth over $2 billion kill themselves? Because we're missing it. We don't know what's on the inside. We're not focusing on what's on the inside. And you get 50 and you got, the worst thing that happened is you got the car, you got the house, you got the money, and you're still empty inside. You got the relationship, you got the boyfriend, you got the drugs, you got the high, and you come down feeling lower. That's how people are susceptible to anything that makes me feel alive. Anything that makes me feel, I can't feel nothing, I'm numb.
And most of the time, it's the root of it in the spirit world is called the spirit of incubation. And I know you probably going to attest to what I'm talking about. It's an ancient demonic spirit, and also known as the spirit of Babylon. So when you see people like R. Kelly and different other ones that are attacked by the spirit of perversion or either manipulation, it starts with the demonic spirit of incubation. I mean, that may be a little deep. Y'all may have to go and research it, but
it's true.
And these are demonic spirits that literally come to them. Right. Whether they're sleeping, awake, have them perverting themselves. Right. Having themselves with themselves. I'll say it like that. And that's why it's not good for people to entertain certain things when they're alone with themselves. Because that invites that spirit in.
You don't want to say the word masturbation? I'll say it if you don't want to say the word masturbation. We say masturbation.
It's wrong because it invites the spirit of perversion and the spirit of incubation. Right. So, you know, that it started with the person who molested him. Right. So it's a generation that's where it has to start. That's the root of it. The root. That's
South Carolina right there. That gets you right
from
now.
The rooter to the tutor.
That's how it's got to be broken. It has to be broken by prayer in the spirit realms. Right. If you don't know how to war against demonic spirits, don't even attempt.
Yeah. So that's why I'm thinking, you know, like I want the listeners to kind of take away, you know, the people that you have in your life, talk to them. Right. Talk, get to know people. And I feel like a lot of times we focus so much on what's happening now. We talk about, hey, how was your day? You want to go out tonight? But we don't really talk about, you know, like the things that happen to people in their childhood, who you are, getting to the root of why you do the things you do. Like you cannot figure those things out without getting to know someone, because you never know how much someone is holding on to until you really get to it. My freshman year, I was raped. And I didn't want to talk about it. It was the day before my best friend's birthday. And I was like, you know, I'm not going to say anything. We're just going to keep holding on to it. And here we are 2 years later. I'm now realizing how much something actually affected me. And it's changing the way I communicate with people. It's changing my heart. And I'm very big on love and caring. I'll do anything for anybody. But I saw myself changing, but didn't really realize it. And all it took was, you know, for someone to talk to me. How are you doing today? And it's very seldom that we actually talk to our friends and talk to people in our life and say, how are you doing today?
And actually stay and listen for the response. Because we say how we doing and keep walking.
And a lot of people say, you know, I'm good, how are you?
They do that. Good. I'm good.
But even in passing, if you ever realize when you were speaking to someone, hey, how you doing? They say, good, how are you? and nine times out of 10, the other person doesn't even respond. Y'all, that was just in passing. We just naturally throw off that question, and we really don't want to hear the answer. So, like, just pushing forward, I feel like as I was thinking, you know, how to stop this from repeating, it really just pushes to say, talk to people.
Right.
Figure out how they're doing, because you just speaking to someone and spreading a little bit of your life or your wisdom or your knowledge onto them could change suicide for tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's so true.
I was in Afghanistan and teaching English to a group of Italians, and they literally brought me in the middle of our main street to show me an exercise. They said, I don't understand. You know, America, they say, you know, it's okay. How are you? Their way of saying how are you is translated, it's okay. How are you? And he said, all America said, good, good, good. And I say, they say, how are you? And they say, good, good, good. I don't answer because we were answering for them. So they took me on the street and they said, watch. And somebody walked by and they said, hello, how are you? They was like, fine, how are you? And they said, my mother is dying and my dog is dead. And I was like, good, good, good. Like the American literally said, good, 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 because they didn't listen. They did not. They literally, and we did it with a couple of people where they spoke like the interaction of hello, how are you? Naturally spoken back, how are you? They responded with something negative, and the American responded with good, good, good. When we did it with other cultures, and I think maybe because it was a language barrier, they actually stopped to listen. You know, you ask the French, how are you? Oh, my mother's sick and my dog is dead. No. He's like, no. But they brought me there as their teacher to show me how our language is being translated and how we're not good listeners. So I encourage them, instead of saying, you know, how are you today? If you don't have time to listen to someone when you say, how are you today?
Exactly.
Just say, I hope you have a great day.
That's
Don't
a
ask.
lot better.
Just say, I hope you have a great day. Maybe the day hasn't been good, but I hope at least that's a sincere, earnest response that says, I don't have time to sit and hear your problems, but if you do have any, I hope that you have a great day.
Or I may not really care.
And that too.
That's exactly it.
But you are right. You know, a lot of people are caught up because they don't trust in who they can speak with.
How can they get in contact with you, Shar?
Okay, you can get in contact with me on my Instagram. It's at SHARII_Marie, MARIE. I will be having my social media updated for my new radio show, Table Talk, Wednesdays at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also on my Instagram, you can check out a lot of my different singing videos. I am an artist. I am a singer.
You are not a singer. Say it as a sing, girl.
Oh my Jesus. Okay, we can do some Michael Jackson.
Go on, give it to me.
Okay.
Give me a bar. Give me a bar. Do you need a beat?
When I had you, I treated you bad and wrong, my dear girl. Since you've been away, don't you know I sit around with my head hanging down, and I wonder who's loving you. Follow me on Instagram at Shari_Marie, SHARII_MARIE.
Yeah.
They can get in contact with you, how?
You can get in contact with me at on my Facebook, Evangelist Shandanette Hay, and you can go also to my Instagram, Blessed and Beautiful, and also to my website personally, evangelistshandanettehay.com.
They can get in contact with you.
I'm still trying to get over the sound. You can get in touch with me at shock and awe and on the wow. I'm just like, wow. Joseph Pridgeon. All my social media is my name because I'm vain like that. No, it's Joseph Pridgeon, JOSEPH, and the last name is P as in Paul, RIDGEN. and that's on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I ain't on Twitter because I think it's whack. All right. And my website is www.josephpridgeon.com. You can get all my books, CDs. I ain't singing. I'm preaching. All right.
And Guns?
I am Guns. Again, that is greatness under no stipulation for all of your health and wellness and success coaching. You can call me directly at 980-239-7819. And all social media is Guns Total Wellness. Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
Family, you're tuned in to the Profit and Growth Hour here on WDRB Media.
The voice of the community.
I feel like, man, we the Power Rangers. Everybody put their different color in there.
Going down. Like, I don't know what happened.
There's a latch.